Unfortunately, we do it to each other all the time, and we treat each other very badly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you recover, though, when someone that you really love treats you badly? We'll go over a few steps. I think we have to start with the reality of the situation. It hurts.
Right.
We're not going to deny that at all. When someone treats you badly, it's supposed to hurt,
Yeah.
especially if it's somebody that you love,
Yeah.
right? So step one is to probably just acknowledge that yes, I'm supposed to feel badly when I get hurt, but then you take some steps to start calming your own body's fight or flight response.
Yeah, a lot of the times you can't really process what happened while your body is in that fight or flight because, we've
Right.
talked on other shows about what happens physiologically, and your blood supply is not in the place it needs to be to really, really process or think things through. So if you can get calmed down, then you have a better chance of being able to process and handle in a more choice and kind of from an empowered position.
Right, exactly. So the quickest way I know to do this is breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Slow, deliberate, focused breathing, acknowledgement. Breathing doesn't solve anything.
No.
Okay?
But it calms.
Well, yeah, like you were saying, Vicki, it changes the blood flow.
Right.
We have brain scan studies that prove this. When the fight or flight part of your brain is active, there's a decrease in blood flow to the prefrontal part of your brain. That's the part we need for the other steps.
Right, right.
So even though breathing's not going to solve it, it puts you in position.
So you can
to
now
solve
do
it.
something about it. Right.
Exactly. So breathe.
Now that you've calmed down just a little bit and got your brain ready to process, be willing to take the step to look at what happened and to reframe the experience a little bit. A lot of the times, whatever happened, it's just the situation, right? You got to be able to look at what was the situation. What did somebody say? What did somebody do? And kind of pull that separate from the thoughts that you had. Oh, he did X, Y, Z. That must mean he hates me. He's rude to me. He doesn't value me. And all of a sudden, those are your thoughts. And so I think you've got to take time to just look at, okay, what happened? What was the circumstance? What was the event?
And it's neutral.
Right. It's just a neutral event, and you've got to be able to kind of see what it is. Right?
Now, that's easy for us to say.
Yeah.
Sitting here at Live on Purpose
Yeah.
Central and talking to you on YouTube.
But not, when you're at home and somebody has looked at you the wrong way or they didn't answer you when you asked them, I'm just recognize that there's a neutral event and your thoughts
Are separate from
they've assigned meaning or whatever.
Right. So in this step, Vicki, as we look at reframing the experience, think about it like a picture, okay? And the picture has this frame around it. And the frame says, this is all about me. That's how we take it personally. And there's a personal and an impersonal component to everything. The personal part is, it's you. Mm-hmm. That is personal. Mm-hmm. It happened to you. But the impersonal part is, it doesn't matter that it's you. It could have been anyone in the same situation that would have experienced it. And that's the impersonal part. So reframing it means we're going to take this big frame from off the picture that says this is all about me, and we're going to put a little tiny frame around it that says, it's not really about me. This is about somebody else's choice.
Or it even might just be, this is what happened. That's
Right.
your frame. It's not good. Sometimes our frame is, this was good, this was bad, this was mean. But those are all kind of thoughts that we're having about the fact that man cut me off.
Neutral frame.
Yeah, neutral frame. And then what we
Yeah.
do with it. So, but with a loved one, of course, it's a little harder because we have a lot more emotions invested into this. And so when your loved one slams the door while you were talking to him, okay, that could be really hurtful, right? But just the frame is, my husband slammed the door.
Or just neutral. Door slammed.
Door slammed. Mm-hmm.
Or door closed with a loud noise. How can we make it more neutral? When we say that it's neutral, you're going to have some natural resistance to that because in your mind it's not neutral. And in my mind it's not neutral when it's me because I'm taking it personally. That's why we started with the other step, to breathe.
Right.
Calm your fight or flight response. See that this is a neutral event and that you are creating some meaning around that, and that's causing the feelings. That's important to know because as we get into the next steps, we're going to use that. The next step is psychologically a little challenging, but stay with me for a minute because this is really important. Take full responsibility for how you feel. Notice I'm not saying take full responsibility for the offense or what happened or what that person's behavior was. I'm talking about your feelings now. Vicki, you pointed out earlier, this is a neutral event. It becomes less neutral when we take it inside and we start to feel some things about it. You're never wrong about how you feel. How you feel is 100% consistent with the way your own mind is processing the event and assigning meaning to it. That's the part you get to take responsibility for.
So you kind of, I'm not wrong about feeling hurt.
Right.
Okay. But I recognize I need to take a chance and go, okay, going back to the slam door. The slam door, I interpret as him saying, I'm not talking to you anymore. I don't want to be with you right now. And I feel hurt by that. So I don't have any idea what really it is. But if you're taking responsibility, you're saying, oh, the reason I'm feeling hurt is because I've interpreted this action to mean he doesn't like me. He doesn't want to talk to me. He's mad at me. But just recognize that that's your thought process. It's not because he yelled it at you or said it, but your thought process has brought you to that feeling. And that's what taking responsibility. It's not that I'm wrong. I may be completely and totally, I'm justified in feeling hurt because my thoughts are telling me the X, Y, Z. So until you can't even change your feelings really until you take responsibility for them and recognize that your feelings are directly tied with your thoughts.
Do you remember that special we watched on Netflix with Brene Brown? And she gave a tool that I thought was so helpful here. It's a thought process where you can take responsibility for how you feel by saying, okay, the story I'm telling myself about this is...
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. And that's kind of another tool is when you're ready to have the conversation with the person who's hurt you, that's a really great way to go at it. Is when this happened, the story I began telling myself is that you no longer wanted to talk to me, you didn't, whatever your story is. Until you look at what caused you to get those feelings, what thoughts you were going through, you can hardly even address it with somebody else.
It's not even accessible to you until you go to this level of responsibility. Until you get there, you're still blaming that other person. If you're blaming the other person, they're naturally going to be very defensive or resistant when you or if you ever approach them about it. And I think, Vicki, that's an important point too, because you may or may not choose to address that person. I think if it's an important key relationship to you, then probably at some point you're going to need to address it. Most of the tools we've shared with you are internal.
Right.
There are things you can do with or without the participation of that other person. It's all about getting more clear or aware about what's going on inside your own head. Relationships can be tricky, but you're not alone in this. I don't know if you're even aware of some of the resources that are available to you at Live on Purpose Central.
There's a link down in our description, but it's go.liveonpurposecentral.com. There are so many options and resources available to you there.
We'll see you inside.
Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.